Hi there, welcome back. What you're looking at here is the result of, I don't know, I'm going to guess, but about 3-4 hours of work. And the problem with this thing is that the switch wasn't working. When I did that turn on, the switch didn't work the first time, and I got wondering about it, and I didn't have to wander too far because one of the efforts I made straight after that left this thing permanently on. The volume control was working, but the switch was not switching off. So what I had to do was quite an intricate bit of surgery here to try and save this guy, because this thing is a dual pot. The front end, the front part, is the normal volume control. So signal comes in here, ground usually, in this case it's not quite ground, but that's the wiper. This one at the back actually only operates for the purposes of tone adjustment when you up the volume. So it's a sort of loudness control. And these radios do tend to have that. They also have taps somewhere in between, before the in the middle of the track, and these things also help with the tone control. And effectively, it's a sort of an old type of loudness control. Now, I didn't want to change this, and I certainly wanted the switch function to work, so I had to open this up, and I think I may well have got it, but let me show you what I had to go through. The first problem was getting it out of there, because there are quite a few connections to it, and you have to be careful that you make note of everything you unsolder and then get it out very carefully so that you can replace it correctly when you've done the repair. So everything was noted down. I made some drawings. I did some very short videos where I sort of talk to myself and say what I'm removing and what I'm cutting and so on. And finally got it out. And then the back end, to come off, you need to drill out some of these little brass rivets, hold the thing together so it doesn't all jump out, and open it up. And what you're left with is the interior, which has the switching mechanism. It has a sort of a swivel on there, and the holder of that swivel was broken. The part behind the actual knob, or the shaft that makes the connection, has had the tip broken. So yeah, quite a challenge. And I tried various things. Super glue was the obvious at first attempt. And while I believe it worked for part of it, it didn't work for the other. The actual positioner of that toggle broke off a couple of times after I tried it, having glued it, and left it for quite a while. So what I had to do is I had to drill the bottom and use a screw, a very thin screw, to hold that in place. And then put everything back together, clean the contacts obviously, adjust the positioning because it didn't work first time, and it looks like that that section that connects to the shaft, the super glue's done the trick. I hope so. I hope it holds. It's working, but I hope it holds. And let me show you what the result is. So I have this on diode mode, and I'm going to turn the shaft. There's our connection. Our volume works. When I go down, it's off. Now this thing is a dual switch, so it switches live and neutral. Let's try the other one. There we go. So the switch seems to be working. Now the plan is, if it doesn't, if it stops working for some reason, I still want to use the same pots. And I'm going to leave this in place, and I may have to then just disable the switch function and add a double pole single throw switch at the back, which will be the power on switch. I really don't want to go that route because I want to keep this thing as original as possible. So we've got a working switch. Now we just have to put it back, which sounds quite easy, but it's a hell of a job. So here we have it. We've got the potentiometer back in here. Connected all the wires, referred to all my notes again, and I've also, while I was here, taken the opportunity to swap out all the capacitors that I believed need swapping, so that also some of these solder connections were pretty iffy. So someone had been here before. And it looks like, at least on this side, the entire preamp and power amp section, tone section, is completely recapped. And in fact, with the exception of one little guy down there that I've tested and it's perfectly fine because it's in the low voltage section of the tone controls, I've got the entire bottom end recapped. So let's go and look at the top end. If you've been following along, you'll notice quite a few differences. I have recapped the entire section from the preamp forward. So I have now got this stage and that stage completely done, which means that I'm in a position now to test the power amplifier section with a tone into the phono jack. You'll notice a rather strange capacitor over here, that black one. Now that was a shielded cap which I replaced and rebuilt, and the technique I used I'll link above. I've actually done a video on it. And this capacitor is the one that comes off the wiper of the volume pot. So the idea is to pick up very low or as little noise as possible. And the outside is screened or shielded. And that shield then goes to ground. That's why you get 3 pins on there. I have no power on at the moment, but yeah, let's see what the power amp section or audio section sounds like with the tone coming in. Right, I think we're ready. I have a 1000 Hertz, 1 kilohertz tone coming in, 200 millivolts RMS, into the jack at the back for the phono. I have selected phono down here. I have the speaker connected. I have the dimmer box on one lamp. And I think we're ready to give it a go. Let's see. Right, the switch works well. Oh, there we go. Brilliant. I don't hear any hum. The volume control seems to be smooth, no crackling, so that's been cleaned properly. The tone controls, let's see if I drop the treble. It's a little bit scratchy, so I need to clean that. Won't hear much from the bass control because we're hearing a 1 kilohertz tone. Okay, our power amp is done. And it looks like we have progress. Now, if you recall, when I tried it on, we had a deaf front end. I think possibly some of the problems may have been the power amp stage as well. So I think I'm going to try see what the reception is like. If anything, let's listen. Let's get rid of the tone. Put it on medium wave. Certainly sounds like radio reception. Yep, we've got something. Well, we're getting something. We're also getting some motorboating noise, which increases with the voltage. I wonder what that is. That is now also on. Alright, let's switch that off. That buzzing sound is also even on gramophone. on phono input. Right, so we've got some more work to do here. There's a few components to swap at the front end here, but I think we're getting some reception. The oscillator seems to be working because we seem to be tuning. This buzzing is a bit weird, and I didn't have that when I first switched on, so it could be something that's heating up and doing that. So yeah, well, I think there's still quite a bit to do. What you might have noticed is I have removed the dial plate. I removed the faceplate off so that I could get this thing out, and I'm now going to take the opportunity to clean that up. I've cleaned up some of the chassis. This is what you do when you're waiting for glue to dry. And I now need to do quite a bit of lubrication, finish the front end, test it, see what the reception is like. We'll then do the alignment. It's only AM alignment, AM-IF alignment, so it's pretty simple. See what that buzz is about. But the important thing is we have progress. So I think I'll say goodbye for now and keep at it. When I come back, I should have that whole front end done, and hopefully we'll be getting some reception. I'll put a proper antenna on here and so on, because at the moment I was only using the ferrite, which is a bit unfair. I do know this thing has got a fine tuning for AM. If you see that little capacitor there, that is in parallel with the tuning capacitor, and that's what they call the microscope. I think they call it AM microscope, and it's I believe it's supposed to be for shortwave, and it's basically just a band spread. So you tune it more or less to where you want to be, and then you fine tune it with that capacitor. I do see there's a lot of grunge on there. It almost seems like there's been a short on there. So we'll have to see that more carefully. I've got pulleys to lubricate, I've got cleaning to do. So I'll say goodbye for now and get back to you soon. Thanks for watching.